She wants to work for herself. It's not a fantasy. She's senior, respected, genuinely good at what she does. She has the skills, the contacts, even the first few client conversations already lined up. On paper, the household has real wealth, something like 1.2 million across the pension, the property equity, the ISAs, and shares. And yet, every time she imagines actually stepping away from the salary, the whole thing feels unsafe. Not because the money isn't there, but because nobody has ever worked out what the salary is quietly holding up. So this isn't a story about whether she's brave enough. It's about whether the household has ever tested what the paycheck is actually carrying. Let me show you the household. This is a composite based on patterns I've seen again and again, not one specific family. She's late 30s, early 40s, a senior commercial or strategy leader, marketing, tech, consulting. She earns somewhere around £160,000 a year. Her partner is well too, working in finance, law, or senior corporate. From the outside, this is a strong household. There are children, or they are in the thick of the family years. A mortgage, nursery or school fees, help at home that makes two demanding jobs possible. Holidays that are a genuine reward, a real reset after months of hard work, and something the whole family looks forward to. The pension's growing, some in ISAs, real equity in the house, maybe some shares from her company. They're not struggling. Nothing here is precarious. But her paycheck isn't just income anymore. The career built the life. And then, quietly, the life started to needing the paycheck. This isn't poverty, it's dependency, sitting quietly inside affluence. The easy thing to say here is that she just needs to be more brave. But that misses what she's actually asking. This was never really a personal question. Does she want to work for herself? She knows that. It's a household question. What happens to our life if my income becomes uncertain for a while? And that fear isn't irrational, it's just vague, because nobody has ever mapped the structure underneath it. There's a name for what's happening here. I call it the design gap. It's what happens when a household has built the income, the assets, and a genuinely good life, but has never mapped what any of it is designed to do when life asks for a different face. Because the question was always, how much do we have? And the answer was already there, £1.2 million, give or take. The question they've never asked is the one that actually matters here. What is all of this designed to do? So before we ask whether she can lose the paycheck, let's try to ask something calmer. What is the paycheck actually doing? Because it's doing more than one thing. Really, it's doing four. Some of it is essentials, the obvious part, the mortgage, the bills, the childcare, the food, the insurance, the parts of the life that simply have to keep running. Some of it is lifestyle, and I don't mean unnecessary spending. The holidays everyone looks forward to, the help at home that makes both careers possible. The thing they've earned and genuinely want to protect. The parts that make this alive, not just a machine that pays its own bill. Some of it isn't spending at all. It's future building. The pension goes in every month. The ISA, the overpayments on the mortgage. The quiet sense that the household is moving forward, not standing still. And some of it is hardest to name. It's emotional safety, the feeling that everything's okay, that they are not going backwards, that the decision isn't reckless, that her partner isn't lying awake in the middle of the night. Here's a trap. Most households never separate these four. They always bundle into one number every month. So when she imagines the salary stopping, she doesn't feel one job disappearing. She feels all four go at once. The mortgage and the holidays and the future and the feeling of being okay, all of it together. No wonder it feels impossible. She isn't being asked to give up her income. It feels like giving up the whole structure in a single decision. The paycheck test just pulls these four apart. Because the moment they are separate, they stop being one enormous, terrifying thing and become four different questions, each with its own answer. This is why the decision feels so binary. Without pulling the paycheck apart, there seem to be only two options: stay in a senior job or leap into the unknown. That's a miserable choice. One feels safe but stuck, the other feels free but reckless. But real transitions rarely looks like that leap. Because once you can see the four jobs, you can see the levers too. Maybe the business only needs to cover the essentials at first, not the whole salary. Maybe her partner's income can carry more for a while. Maybe the future building pauses for a year with no real harm done. Maybe some of the lifestyle flexes and some of it is protected on purpose. None of that is a leap, it's a design phase. A business doesn't need to replace the whole salary in day one. It needs a household structure that let it grow without panic. And here's why it matters, even if she never starts a thing of her own, because senior careers don't always end on your terms. At this level, roles can stop working suddenly and quickly. A new boss, a restructure, a team that breaks, a change of direction from above, 2 difficult years back to back. Sometimes the role simply disappears. And the higher you've climbed, the fewer clean next roles are waiting because the ladder gets narrower on the top. So the real question isn't only could she build something of her own one day, it's if this role stopped working tomorrow, would she have room to choose what happens next? Or would she have to take the first thing that pays fast because the household can't absorb a pause? That's what the design gap actually costs. Not a missed dream, but the room to choose in the moment you most need it. I know this works because I lived it. For years, I've been building towards financial independence, quietly in the background, while working a demanding corporate job. Then life changed all at once. I became a mother, we moved abroad, and I felt a real pull to step away from the corporate path and start building something of my own. And even with all that structure in place, the decision still scared me at first. That's the honest part. Wealth on paper doesn't make the fear disappear. What changed it was sitting down with my husband and actually walking through it together. Not the dream, the structure. We had accessible money to live on for a while. Our long-term future wasn't fragile because we'd already passed the point where it could mostly look after itself. The move abroad brought our living costs down. His income could carry the household without us downgrading the life. And the thing I was building didn't need to replace my whole salary straight away. None of that was bravery, it was just visible. The courage came once the numbers stopped being vague. So here's the shift. Choice isn't one leap, it's a designed transition. The question was never really, can I quit? That was a binary trap again. The better question is quieter. Would it have to be true for my income to become lower, or uncertain, or experimental for a while, without the household feeling unsafe? And the honest answer for most people is I don't know, because I've never actually tested it. That's not a failure, it's just a gap. The wealth got built, the life got built, the test never happened. And you don't have to decide the whole future in one setting. You just have to stop treating the paycheck as one enormous, untouchable thing and start seeing the separate jobs it's doing. Because the moment you can see them, the decision stops being leap or stay, becomes a set of smaller, answerable questions. And that's a very different thing to carry around. So here's what I'd actually sit with if this is you. What is your paycheck actually holding right now? How much of it is genuinely essential? The things that simply have to keep running. How much is future building, money that's really progress, not spending? How much is a lifestyle you genuinely want to protect? And how much is emotional safety, the feeling that everything is okay? If your income becomes uncertain for a while, what would actually have to be replaced? What could pause? What could flex? What other levers can you pull maybe you haven't even considered? And underneath all of it, there might be a question many people never ask themselves honestly. Are you staying because you truly want to, or because you've never mapped out the alternative? Those are 2 very different reasons to stay in the same job, and you deserve to know which one is yours. Staying should be a choice, not the only safe option. If you want to start seeing your own version of this, what your income is holding up, where the pressure really sits, and which part of the structure to look at first. That's what the free financial structure review is for. Think of it as the first map. It's linked below. And if you already know you want to map this out properly with help, I've linked a video about how my program works. No pressure, it's there if it's useful. One last thing, because it's the next trap. Sometimes you build real wealth. The problem is that one asset has quietly become the center of your entire financial life. It takes the cash, it takes the attention, and every other decision has to work around it. For a lot of British households, that asset is property. And that's the next episode. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.